Good morning, everybody, and welcome to What's Hot Now. We're taking a look at the market opening bell here at MarketStream.Live. My name is Joseph Cusick from the Cusick Group, securities provided by MoneyBlock. Well, it looks like the market is firmly in the green. Taking a look at the S&P 500, basically up about 8 points, NASDAQ up 23, and you have the Dow Jones up about 90. What we saw last night is basically an impressive move. And one of the things that I want to point out from a technical nature, just to put some basic technical context out there, all the major indices finished above their 50-day moving average, which now makes today's close very important. If it stays above those 50-day moving averages, now you have midterm support. And that's going to be a line that a lot of traders are going to watch, a lot of investors are going to take into consideration with the continuation of the Trump presidency and what policies are, who's going to be sitting on the cabinet. And then we're finally going to get into drilling down all of the data that's been coming out during this election process, especially in the last week. Taking a look at crude oil. Crude oil is lower by about 0.8% at around $44.91, down about 36 cents. It hasn't been able to benefit from the positive bias that we've seen over the last 24 hours. We saw a report come out from the International Energy Agency, which basically gave their latest oil market report on global supply, and it increased by about 800,000 barrels per day in October, rising to 97.8 million barrels per day. Now, this is going to put the OPEC meeting that's coming up scheduled on November 30th. You're going to hear a lot of rhetoric out there. Right now, doesn't look like any of the OPEC nations are capping their current output. And they have been putting out teasers that they're all working with each other to come up with an agreement to cap output. And it doesn't look like they're following that agreement, or you don't see the seeds that are being laid because the production continues. So with that being said, you still see a glut of oil. The EIA report that we touched on yesterday came out here in the States. We saw a build that was right around 2.3 million barrels, a little bit higher than estimates, but well below the 14 million barrels that we saw the week previous. So we still see a glut of oil, and we're going to watch that closely. Oil's just not been able to capture a bid. Taking a look at the Treasury complex, the recent losing streak continues. You see that the short end of the curve, the 2-year and the 5-year, you see the yields still running to the upside. Now, the 2-year note is up about 2 basis points at around 0.92%. Looking at the longer end of the curve, though, that's where the interesting action's been occurring. The 10-year note is up about 4 basis points this morning at 2.09%. And you have the 30-year, looks like it's challenging that 2.63%. So you see the yields continuing after what was an amazing move in the 10-year yesterday at 22 basis points. Really, you see that the group is under pressure for the sole purpose that there are inflation concerns, primarily now that are on the burner in Europe. You're seeing that finance ministers and central bankers are very concerned about it. They're voicing it. Their yields are moving off the charts. They're very concerned about the trade policies that are going to come up, because then that means that there could be a shortage of supply, which then is going to spur on potential inflation. You're seeing that playing out with the bond yields increasing not only here in the United States but globally. And we're going to see if that counteracts here. We'll see. Also, you're looking at basically fiscal deficits potentially increasing, especially here in the United States, if in fact we start to go to the policies that Mr. Trump was, now President-elect Trump, was suggesting in the election process. So we'll keep an eye on that. That's going to be something that's going to play out over the upcoming days, weeks, and months. Now let's take a look at what's hot right now on the opening. Shake Shack came out after hours. They beat top line and bottom line estimates for the quarter and issued a very upbeat revenue guidance for not only the remainder of this year, but fiscal 17 as well. Shake Shack was trading at $35.50, up about $2.24. What was very interesting, we talked about Shake Shack in the Tech Talk, as well as What's Hot Now in advance of earnings. We pointed out that the options were pricing in the potential for the stock to move either up or down $2.50. It's up $2.24 this morning. The reason why I'm highlighting this, folks, is that this is why we use the option pricing. It has a component called implied volatility for those of you that are new either to the show or to options. Options have a component in the pricing called implied volatility. That is an input that forecasts the potential of movement either up or down in the stock. So it helps price options. And so we saw in front of this event that the options marketplace was pricing in the potential for Shake Shack, the stock, to move $2.50. They beat this, the street liked it. The stock is up $2.24 on the open. Now, these estimated moves that I talk about, as I've said in previous segments, is not directionally biased. That's why I say plus minus. I want to hit that home. This is just giving you some context of what could potentially happen with basically about a 66% accuracy level. 66 to 70% accuracy level is what you're shooting for. Or in other words, you're looking for a one standard deviation move either up or down being priced in. That gives you a statistical advantage as far as understanding what could potentially happen. In other words, basically 84% of the price action is being priced in either up or down. Now that I've completely confused everybody at 9:30 Eastern Time, 8:30 Central Time, let's take a look at Kohl's. Another consumer discretionary name, Kohl's KSS. They came out, bottom line beat on their earnings, affirmed fiscal 17 guidance, and the stock is up 8%, trading at $49.34. Up about $3.64. Last night when we talked about it in Tech Talk at 3:30 Eastern Time, we mentioned Kohl's, talked about its earnings, talked about some technical components to it, and as far as moving averages, volume, and then we looked at the options pricing. They priced in the potential for the stock to move $3.66 either up or down. The earnings came out; they're positive. The stock is up $3.64. It's incredible, right within the range. These are efficient priced vehicles, folks. That's why I'm pointing this out, and you're not hearing this on the major networks. Mylan's been under a lot of scrutiny in the press with the pricing concerns. Now that Trump is in office, you can see that this sector has some of that pressure has come off, but Mylan still, just from a headline risk, is still under pressure. They came out with their quarterly results. Consensus estimates for the missed on their consensus estimates for the quarter, did reaffirm fiscal 17, the remainder of fiscal 16 as far as their earnings outlook. Stock was down small, roughly around 6 cents or around 0.2%. The options still are pricing in quite a bit of volatility. They're looking at the potential for the stock to move about up or down $2.26 when we want to keep an eye on that. Finally, TASER. TASER has been on the move this morning, up, trading up $1.93 at $25.60. Following the company reported inline bottom line results and then better expected revenue. The stock, like I said, is up now about 8.2%, and it's very interesting. Going to see if the new product offerings that they're going to be putting out, haven't had an opportunity to dig through the earnings statement before we came on, but very interesting the move that's happening in TASER, up $1.93 on the open. Okay, so that's what's hot right now. There's plenty more. We also had COT that reported. Ralph Lauren reported. Actually, I saw that Ralph Lauren was up about maybe 1.6. I believe it was up about 1.6%. They were pricing in the potential for the stock to be up as much as 4 or 5%. It's going to be up about 1% on the open, so 1.5%. So very interesting, the move there. SodaStream also reported. SodaStream came out with better than expected. We talked about that in Tech Talk last night as well. I said I would mention it on the open. Looks like the stock is also going to open up close to $3, right around $32. We were seeing that the options were pricing in the potential for the stock to move either up or down about $3.70. And again, it's challenging that upside of that range. So very interesting action. Seems like the market is still taking that course to the upside after the post-election. Now we're going to start drilling down, looking at the trade, and utilizing this perspective, this logic chain on how to set up the strategies that we want to start implementing into our portfolio, both in the short term and the long term. So join us at 1:30 Eastern Time, where we're going to talk about strategy now. We're going to discuss these names and many more and what's going on with the market and what you should be watching. So join us here at MarketStream.Live. Take care. Have a great rest of the trading day, and I'll see you at 1:30 Eastern Time for Strategy Now.